Hello and welcome back to Live from Paris. It's time now for business news, and for that I'm joined by William Edwards. Hello, William.
Hi, Lorna.
So we're starting off here in France this Friday, where the government has been reacting to some criticism of its economic policies internationally.
Yes, in recent days there's been talk of France as the sick man of Europe. In fact, Germany's finance minister has had to deny that he thinks that's the case. And The Economist has been among those putting in the boot, saying that France is the time bomb at the heart of Europe. Now, it's true that the French economy isn't on great form at the moment. I don't think many people would argue with that. But yesterday, they did get better than expected growth figures, and the government has been giving its reaction.
France is on a press offensive. The message: their economy isn't the sick man of Europe.
We need to stop this French bashing. We need to not get discouraged. We have a strong economy.
The fight to rebuild our economy, to restart growth has started, and we won't back down.
They're responding to this Friday's Economist cover story that calls France the time bomb at the heart of Europe and accuses the French economy of being the biggest threat to the European single currency, citing stagnant growth, high unemployment and a huge trade deficit as its greatest worries. They aren't the only one to attack Paris's economic policies. Already on Monday, one of Germany's main newspapers, Bild, headlined on whether France is the new Greece. Officially, Germany is backing François Hollande and his government, but in private, many have their doubts.
We don't think we'll see the necessary reforms in France and that they won't be implemented fast enough.
Recent data shows that the French economy grew by 0.2% in the third quarter of this year, better than was forecast and well above the Eurozone average that saw a contraction of 0.1% during the same period. France is also borrowing funds at record low interest rates, proving that investors aren't too worried just yet.
That report there from Kate Gillan. Well, of course, one of France's biggest challenges at the moment is getting its car industry going again. And that's a problem across Europe.
Well, not quite across all of Europe, actually. We've got new car sales figures out this morning, and in the UK, they're up by 12% in October. But broadly across Europe, you can see that is the average, minus 4.8%. That's just for October. That's better than it has been in recent months, but still, that is the 13th month in a row that car sales have dropped in Europe. And most of this is across southern European countries such as Italy and Spain. Also, France involved very low sales there, higher than worse than the average, I should say. French constructors, of course, in particular, rely on Europe much more than their German counterparts, who are much more globalised, and hence Volkswagen, BMW, Daimler, they're all doing a lot better than French manufacturers at the moment.
OK, some rather gloomy news there. How is it looking on the markets? Gloomy as well?
Well, not if you're in Japan, where the Nikkei has led the way today, actually. Over in Asia, let's take a look. Up over 2% there at close. That's continued enthusiasm for the possibility of a new government having snap elections having been called a couple of days ago, elections in December. Meanwhile, let's have a look how things are opening up in Europe. Not so rosy, I'm afraid. As you can see, all just about in the red there.
OK, well, talking of in the red, shares in the computer maker Dell have seen falls in the past few hours as well. Why is that?
Yes, they've announced their earnings for the third quarter, and they're down by almost half. And since the start of the year, in fact, their share price has dropped by a third as well. They're reeling really from the effect of smartphones and tablets on the market because, of course, their traditional strength is in desktop computers and laptops. But just in the third quarter, year on year, compared to last year, laptops saw a 25% fall in sales. And so even given the global economic slowdown, etc., I think that's showing a real change in the marketplace. People relying more on smartphones and tablets, and older companies like Dell struggling to keep up.
Well, we're going to move on now to the oil giant BP, because they've been hit with the biggest criminal fine in US history. It's part of a $4.5 billion settlement related to the Deepwater Horizon disaster in the Gulf of Mexico back in 2010. But there's more payouts potentially on the way for the company, as civil claims, possibly worth billions of dollars, still need to be settled.
$4.5 billion, that's what BP will pay in penalties for the Deepwater Horizon disaster that caused the worst offshore oil spill in American history. The disaster has cost the company more than in just fines, and its legacy could hang over the company for years to come.
Getting this fine out of the way is a big hurdle for the stock price. It's a big overhang. So once this is done, it then leads on to the civil claims, which should be done in February, and this will set a sort of level, and people can start working out what level these civil claims are going to be.
After the oil spill in April 2010, BP's stock price in London went from 655 pence to hit the bottom in June at 304p. To date, the company's stock has only recovered a third of this drop in value.
In some ways, BP has come back down from being one of the biggest companies in the world by market capitalisation to just around the fourth. So that's a huge fallback, and I think it has a long way to climb if it's going to retake that particular position.
The company has been forced to sell assets worth billions of euros to settle all the claims. BP said it will defend itself against the remaining civil claims and contest allegations of gross negligence in those cases.
And finally, William, we've all been there at some point, but why is the price of tableware at IKEA potentially going to go up?
Well, it's not just IKEA, but over the years there have been trade wars between the EU, the US and China over everything from tyres to chicken feet. Well, the latest victim of the spat is crockery, tableware, you can see there. The EU has decided to put tariffs on of up to 67% on Chinese and Thai ceramics, actually. The EU claims that these goods are being sold at less than cost price, and therefore these are anti-dumping tariffs, they're known as. And of course, importers of goods from China in this range include IKEA and other, of course, homeware firms, but this could have a difference in price there. French producers are very pleased that France is the sixth largest producer of tableware, apparently, so manufacturers here are rather pleased, and they lobbied for this legislation.
Okay, thanks very much indeed, William, for that look at today's business news. And one piece of news just coming into us just before we go. We can hear from Agence France Presse that 2 Gazans have been killed in a strike by Israel during the visit of the Egyptian Prime Minister to Gaza. That is according to Hamas. Agence France Presse are reporting 2 Gazans killed in a strike by Israel. That's it from us for now, but don't go away. Louise Hannah will be here with more news headlines right after the international weather next.